I've got two new palettes to share with you guys today from Anastasia Beverly Hills. One is the Master Palette by Mario, which is a new eyeshadow palette, and then the other is her newest glow kit. And I did do a demo with the eye palette and the glow kit, which are the two products on my face for both eyeshadow and highlighter. If you're interested in that, it'll be towards the end of the video. I'll go ahead and start off with the Master Palette by Mario. The box that it comes in kind of just mimics the packaging. And in here there are 12 eyeshadows, and each eyeshadow is 0.02 ounces a piece, which is relatively small in the scale of like eyeshadow pans. And then on the back of the box it also says that the eyeshadows are made in the USA, and the Duo Shadow Brush is made in PRC, and via Stephanie Nicole, PRC is another name for China. The packaging is cardboard, which follows suit with like the Artist Palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills and the Maya Mia palette, those ones. When you flip it open, there is a mirror in there, but it does not prop itself up. But I like the fact that I can turn it all the way around because I typically don't use the mirrors in the palettes anyway. So it's kind of more convenient for me to hold. And then the double-ended brush in here, it's got the standard like fluffy side that a lot of her brushes that come in these palettes have this. And then the other end is a flat shader, and this one is like a bit different, and it's really soft, and I kind of like it better than any of the other ones that have come in her palettes. I kind of wish she would have used the same type of material on this end, because this one here, it's kind of scratchy, to be honest. The formula of these eyeshadows is really soft, very, very buttery, and they're very, very pigmented. Like you just need to dip your brush in there ever so slightly and you've got enough product, and they blend like an absolute dream. I've used this palette for the past, I think, 5 days, and I've used every shade in here, and I really don't believe that there is a dud in this palette. They're all really, really nice eyeshadows. There are 3 mattes in this palette, which are these 3 guys right here, and I will zoom up close and give you guys swatches and stuff. Lula, Isabel, and Violetta are the 3 mattes in this palette. Everything else I would consider a shimmer or like a high shimmer. The one thing that I was wishing for in this particular palette was a matte highlight shade. None of these suffice for a matte highlight for me, and today I did use this shade Hollywood because it was the lightest, least shimmery shade I thought for a highlight, and I kind of wanted to stick to just this palette. So there is kind of, you know, shimmer underneath the brow bone, but what I have been using in conjunction with this palette is a separate matte eyeshadow. I've been using Burberry Trench, which I'm not sure if they make that anymore, but it's a really good one for like a subtle matte highlight underneath the brow. Other than this palette not having that matte highlight shade, this is like the perfect fall eyeshadow palette. Every shade, I've used every shade, several different combinations. All the looks have turned out nice. And today when I use this, it's a pretty yellow, like slight shimmery shade underneath the brow. I thought it was just gonna not look right because of all the shimmer in it, but it still turned out. I mean, there's quite a bit of shine there, but I still like the look that came out of it. So like they coordinate really well together. If I hadn't mentioned already, I did purchase these off the Anastasia Beverly Hills website, and I've seen them on Sephora. I'm not sure like if they're in stock or out of stock, and I've also seen them on Ulta. This palette is just a hit though. Like every single shade in here is good and pigmented, and they all blend really well. Again, you do have to be careful when you put your brush in there, like just a little dash of it, otherwise you're going to get some product kick up, and considering that the pans are quite small, you're going to want to not, you know, kick up too much product. So here's the palette up close, right there, and then you open it up and here are your eyeshadows. Again, the 3 mattes that are in here are these 3 right here. I'll do them in 3s and start with the top row. Like, I mean, you know, don't want to grind your fingers in there too much. And then these next 3, which this guy and this guy do have that high shine to them. And I wore this blue the other day. It was really pretty in the crease. So that is the top row. And now we'll do the bottom row. And then these last three, and this guy's a high shine. And this shade Paris is beautiful. It's also a high shine. Well, I feel like it's high shine. So there is the bottom row. Like, does that not scream fall eyeshadows? And then here is a side-by-side of the Renaissance palette, which is on top, and then the Mario palette on the bottom, because I want to see some colors. Now I'll go ahead and get into the newest glow kit, which they're calling the Ultimate Glow. The packaging of this guy is cardboard as well, and it's a little bit different than any of the other glow kits that she's done compared to the Moonchild palette. There is the size difference. This palette does come with a sleeve, and on the back of that sleeve, it does say that this is made in PRC, again, via Stephanie Nicole, that would be China. And each highlighter is 0.16 ounces a piece, whereas you go into the glow kits, like this one is the Sun Dipped, and each one of these ones is 0.26 ounces a piece, so you're getting a little bit less per pan, but there are 6 of them in here. So here are the 6 new highlighter shades. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, man, there's like 5 shades that are going to be much too deep for like the top of my cheekbones. Well, not so bad in other places of my face, but on the top of my cheekbones in particular, I really like that to be lighter than like the other parts of my face. But what I had in mind with this was, since there was a white shade in there, that I could kind of dip in between the other shades and kind of mix them with the white to lighten them up to my liking, but still kind of have a gold or a bronze type of highlight. Now today I did mix it in with Amber Gold, which is the most ready peach out of the whole palette, and mixing them together, it didn't really work out how I had planned. Like the Amber Gold kind of, it deepened up the snow shade, but I did use more of the snow than the amber, and then I was just kind of going back and forth, and it was like, you know, pick one or the other because they weren't like meshing very well. So I kind of used mostly snow. In terms of depth, they're all very similar. The shades themselves are similar as well. You'll see in the swatches that there's a slight variation in tone. Now these, I did find that I had to use a little bit more stiff brush to pick up the product. Like a really soft brush wasn't really getting the job done. And then these do have like some of a hot sand in particular you can really see, but these do have little fine micro glitters in them. And the biggest thing that I noticed was the formula of these is not the same as any of the other glow kits. So I've got Sweet, Gleam, Sun Dipped, and then the Moonchild, and the formula of all of these is very similar, if not the same. And I really like the formula of these. They're really high shine. They're a little bit easier to pick up on the brush than the other one. The formula of this one is different, and while it does, you can get it on your face to get a nice shine, I do prefer the formula in these other kits over this guy. So here's what the packaging looks like, and the back, and then you flip it open, and there is a pretty large size mirror in there as well that goes all the way backwards. And then here are your highlight shades. So I'll go ahead and swatch them by 3s, starting with the top. And I'm kind of pushing relatively hard as well there. So there is the top row. And then we'll do the bottom row. So there is the glow kit. I like this, but I'm not in love with it. I like the other glow kits from Anastasia Beverly Hills better than this one. I think that the formula is nicer, smoother, richer, and it's not as hard to pick up on a brush. Hopefully that was helpful. Now, if you're interested in seeing those products perform and the look that's on my face, you can hang tight and we'll get into it right now. I'm going to use a Hakuhodo J511 brush for highlighter, and I'm going to dip into snow and dip into this guy and then dip back into snow. So just a little bit of amber gold in there as well. And I'm going to put it on the very tops of my cheekbone. Using the same brush, I'm going to use a bit of white sand, just so I can kind of use a little bit more than just 1 or 2 highlighters. And I'm going to put that one in the other spots that I usually highlight. And then there's a little bit of white left on that brush too. So using a Hakuhodo S133 brush, I'm going to go into the shade Paris. I'm going to put that one on the center of the lid. Then using the side of that same brush, I'm going to go into the shade Fifth Ave, and I'm going to put that right in front of Paris. And blend it into the Paris shade. Again, using that same brush, I'm going to dip into NYC and put that on the very outer portion. And blend it into the Paris shade. Then on a Chikuhodo GSN 9, I'm going to dip into Violetta, which is one of the matte shades in the palette. And I'm going to put this one through the crease. On a Hakuhodo J5523 brush, I'm going to go into the shade Lula, which is another one of the mattes, and it's kind of the coolest. I would say it's one of the coolest shades in the palette. Everything else leans pretty warm. I'm going to start blending out that crease. And these eyeshadows blend, they blend just effortlessly, which is awesome. Then I'm going to use a Chikuhodo GSN 10 brush and go into the shade Hollywood. And that it's got a slight like shimmer to it as well. And I've been using Burberry's Trench, which is a matte eyeshadow underneath the brow, because this doesn't really have a matte highlight shade under it. So the look's going to be relatively shiny. But I just want to be able to show you guys, you know, using the palette solely what it can look like. So I've got a teeny tiny bit of fallout, which I'm going to go ahead and brush off. And then otherwise that's the eyeshadow done. Where I'm going to go ahead and finish up my eye makeup, and I'll be right back to put on some lips for you guys. I'm feeling really neutral. So I chose kind of a bright lip. This is the Sephora Rouge Gel Lip Liner in the pink of things. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line them, and I'm going to bring it in a bit too. And to fill them in, I've got MAC's Tender Pink, and this is one of the Tender Talk lip balms. It comes in this type of packaging, and it looks quite bright in the tube. I've actually never worn this yet, so it actually matches that lip liner perfect. So there is the overall finished look using Anastasia Beverly Hills' new Master Palette by Mario, and also her new Glow Kit. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Thank you for watching, and do not forget to wear sunscreen, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.